Biden to announce $9 billion more in student debt relief. Reuters. U.S. President Joe Biden plans to announce on Wednesday that his administration has approved an additional $9 billion in student debt relief for 125,000 borrowers, the White House said. Biden has said he will pursue new measures to provide student loan relief to Americans after the Supreme Court blocked his plan to cancel hundreds of billions of dollars in debt. The president's announcement, planned for 1 p.m. EDT at the White House, will bring the total approved debt cancellation by the Biden. Below are your comments. In this case, the U.S. taxpayer, which includes folks like M. And then people wonder why there are a few, very few, in Congress who preferred to shut the government down than to continue funding this sort of cigar. This country is broke. When will there be enough of this spending? This is not free. The taxpayers will pay for this one way or another, either higher taxes or less services. Congress has not approved any funds for Joe's loan schemes. What he is doing is openly illegal and warrants impeachment and removal from office. Not that it will happen with the republic in its current state of decay. Next news. Mike Pence says he is deeply disappointed in vote to oust Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker. Associated Press. GOP presidential candidate Mike Pence, the former vice president, chastised a group of hard-right Republicans who ousted Kevin McCarthy from his role as House Speaker Tuesday, saying that chaos is never America's friend. Pence was on stage at a national security and foreign policy event at Washington's Georgetown University co-hosted by the Associated Press when the news broke. When told of the historic vote, Pence waited several seconds before he responded. Below are your comments. That's not all what happened. A handful partnered with the Democrats? It's the far-right GOP that brought this vote and it's on them. Another GOP wanted to place blame on the Democrats for their own chaos that they alone are creating. Okay, the Democrats in the House did not partner with Republicans to oust Kevin McCarthy. Pence is attempting to spin this to make it something it is not. Then he complains about chaos, brought on completely by MAGA Republicans who refuse to work with anyone, including their own speaker. Pence face the facts that McCarthy couldn't lead. He sacrificed the power to simply get the title. He could not control his party and he could not speak for anyone. But, let's admit, the party is fragmented and with too many that want the limelight. They simply don't know how to function with other whom. The Gates 8 didn't partner with Democrats, there was no agreement or understanding of any kind. This is a Republican act completely of its own making. Next news. Speaker McCarthy ousted in historic House vote, as scramble begins for a Republican leader. Associated Press. Speaker Kevin McCarthy was voted out of the job Tuesday in an extraordinary showdown. A first in U.S. history, forced by a contingent of hard-right conservatives and throwing the House and its Republican leadership into chaos. It's the end of the political line for McCarthy, who has said repeatedly that he never gives up, but found himself with almost no options remaining. Neither the right-flank Republicans who engineered his ouster nor the Democrats who piled on seem up end to negotiating. Below are your comments. Like McCarthy or not, Democrats and Republicans who are not aligned with the Gates and his crew simply need to decide what a better alternative is. Would they vote for someone aligned with Gates? Extremely unlikely. Democrats are not saving McCarthy or anyone else, they just need to decide who they. Gates has done more to help the Democrats in the last 2 weeks than he has ever done to help the Republicans. A conservative budget shelved and replaced with a centrist stopgap, pushing the Republicans into crisis while giving the Democrats a say into who will be the Speaker. Gates can cry about MC. McCarthy needs the Democrats if he wants to keep his job. So of course there will be deals made. He can say whatever he wants, but we all know that's what will happen. Next news. Matt Gaetz, a polarizing figure in Congress, is polarizing at home, too. The New York Times. Pensacola, Florida. He is polarizing in Washington and polarizing at home. And in both places these days, he is getting more attention than anyone might expect, given his lack of seniority and thin legislative record. As Rep. Matt Gaetz of Florida orchestrated the ouster of Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Tuesday. Constituents in his overwhelmingly Republican district had plenty of thoughts about their congressman's actions and suddenly robust national profile. If we got rid of the Speaker of the House. Below are your comments. People want to see Washington work. She thinks Matt Gaetz wants to see Washington work? That's completely delusional. Gaetz wants to burn everything to the ground. He cares nothing about a functioning government. He's going to be absolutely thrilled in November when the stopgap budget runs out. Maybe Florida can elect him governor so that district can get. Foreign nations are both saddened and upset with what the GOP has turned into, and fears the long-term negative consequences for the world. Next news. U.S. House adrift as Republicans fight over their next leader. Reuters. The U.S. House of Representatives was leaderless on Wednesday, after hard-line Republicans narrowly won a vote to oust Speaker Kevin McCarthy, an historic move that triggered what will be a lengthy and likely messy battle to find a replacement. Republicans lawmakers signaled they would need a week to regroup, planning to meet on Tuesday to discuss possible candidates to replace McCarthy, who said he would not run again, with votes on October 11 at the earliest. The leadership fight is eating into Below are your comments. What MAGA did to the House, they will do to the country. Every Republican House Speaker is worse than the one who came before, and I expect that tradition to continue. Time for some GOP House members to join with the Democrats and elect a level-headed, intelligent who say Speaker to move the nation forward. Clearly, the GOP won't garner support for any speaker that is not a MAGA-minded obstructionist. MAGA got what they wanted, a broken government. Strange that Putin wants that too, eh? Next news. House Speaker chaos stuns lawmakers, frays relationships and roils Washington. Associated Press. Lawmakers who had been sitting in stunned silence gasped at the declaration. The office of Speaker is hereby declared vacant. For the first time ever, a House Speaker had been voted out of the position, plunging Congress into a new degree of turmoil. Kevin McCarthy, the California Republican who has survived decades of upheaval in Congress, had projected a sense of cool as he strolled out of his office just hours earlier, still Speaker. Below are your comments. So now the 45-day deadline will not be met because the nut house will be throwing chairs at each oath. Republican leadership will bring this country down. Good going. I'm sure their mothers are proud. Something is wrong with the entire system in the House of Representatives. 8 Republicans should not have the power to overturn the wishes of 210 Republicans. The system is flawed. Sold his dignity to be Trump's laptop, and Trump did nothing to help save him as Speaker. This is what happens when you make deals with devil. We were once the most stable democratic country in the world. Now we a large dysfunctional mob. Republicans equals chaos and violence. Vote them out and get on with the business of government. Next news. Kari Lake files paperwork to run for Senate in Arizona. HuffPost. Lake is the favorite for the Republican nomination in what's shaping up to be a three-way general election race. Below are your comments. So she's abandoning her position as governor to run for another office already? I may be wrong, but the people of Arizona, I'm sure, do not like to be accused of. Didn't we see this movie already? She will lose. Again. Say it was rigged, then it's back in court for years. I guess it's way to continue to get MAGA money. First she has to hear pretend position as gov. Then when she loses the Senate she can then be the pretend senator. The good thing for her is she can use the pretend gov office for the pretend senator position. Saves a lot of money, all she has to do is get a new nameplate. Sen Lake. Her career eye. Next news. With McCarthy out, California Republicans lost a crucial lifeline. Politico. He was a phenomenal fundraiser and phenomenal recruiter, Matt Shoup, a California Republican strategist. East, said of the Bakersfield native. Below are your comments. As an effective fundraiser, McCarthy should actively work against the re-election of the 8 subversive extremists who voted against him. Being from CO, I would love to see Ken Buck taken out. And McCarthy should correct his mistake of helping Nancy Mace get elected. Follow the money. McCarthy's first reaction on the 6th of January was correct. Within nanoseconds, he did a 180 and headed to Mar-a-Lago to lick Trumpy's toes, and has behaved with dishonor ever since. I suspect that the money called him, but who? McCarthy should just change his name to Faust. Hope the Sal. The Republicans are letting the crazies win. With McCarthy, when he continually plays both sides against the middle, it eventually catches up with HU. He was tenuous at best. The issue now is the GOP ineptness can keep the nation deadlocked until January of 2025 until the next Congress takes over. That means, no budget, no funding, compli. Republicans don't want a functioning U.S. government. Neither does Putin. Next news. Giuliani's drinking, long a fraught subject, has Trump prosecutors' attention. The New York Times. New York. Rudy Giuliani had always been hard to miss at the Grand Havana Room, a magnet for well-wishers and hangers-on at the Midtown Manhattan cigar club that still treated him like the king of New York. In recent years, many close to him feared he was becoming even harder to miss. For more than a decade, friends conceded grimly, Giuliani's drinking had been a problem. And as he surged back to prominence during the presidency of Donald Trump, it was getting more difficult to hide it. Sign up. Below are your comments. Rudy's drinking. No problem. 0.20 years in prison will help him with that issue. Let's get started. ASAP. Drinking slowly erodes a person's judgment and alcoholism destroys it. This is why Rudy foolishly cast his lot in with Trump. Now, the consequences of drunkenness and sedition come due. Guy was an epic fraudster. He just was using his mayoral stint to pander to his corrupt ways. Drinking, lying, womanizing, and engaging in fraud. He needs to find a facility and dry out. You don't want to go cold turkey in prison. The DTs are no joke, you can die from that. Rudy's theme song. Next news. Explainer: what are the next steps as U.S. House searches for new Speaker? Reuters. The U.S. House of Representatives for the first time in its history has booted its Speaker out of the job, as infighting in the narrow and bitterly divided Republican majority toppled Kevin McCarthy from the position. Immediately following Tuesday's 216-210 ouster vote, Republican Representative Patrick McHenry, a McCarthy ally, was appointed acting Speaker for a very limited time, up to 3 legislative days in this case. The acting speaker's duties are vague, according to a guide to the ch. Below are your comments. Gates does look like a slinking weasel and is proving he's capable of destruction, but not a leader. Able to create cooperation. Repos need to toss off the insanity and contempt Gates is selling and discover among themselves a collaborative creative repo leader if such exists in the repo party. 8 Republicans voted with every present Democrat to vacate the Speaker's chair. The final vote was 216 to 210 in favor of McCarthy's ouster. Or, maybe the Dems should nominate McCarthy and then try to get 5 Republican votes for him and put I am back in office, lol. Next news. Arizona to cancel leases allowing Saudi-owned farm access to state's groundwater. Associated Press. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs said this week her administration is terminating state land leases that, for years, have given a Saudi-owned farm nearly unfettered access to pump groundwater in the dry Sioux western state. On Monday, Hobbs, a Democrat, said the state had canceled Fondo Monte Arizona's lease in western Arizona's Butler Valley and would not renew 3 other leases up for renewal there next year. An investigation by the governor's office found that the foreign-owned farm had violated S. Below are your comments. A Democrat had to stop the Republican-Saudi partnership that was stealing from Arizona. About time. The people who brought us 9/11 have been running roughshod over our country and taking advantage of us, even more than Israel. Good move. The Saudis are not our friends. Now let's take this nationwide and include China too. It was just another of money over the security and welfare of this country that as long as politicians are getting theirs it will continue. A good move. Sometimes the Democrats do something right. Next news. Hunter Biden pleads not guilty to federal gun charges. Recap. USA Today. Hunter Biden pleads not guilty to federal gun charges in Delaware court. A plea deal for tax and gun charges fell apart in July. Below are your comments. Yes, those gun charges are rarely filed, but they needed something to hook that triple immunity to. The 2017-18 tax charges are meaningless. Like Trump, the Gov't can go after his failing to pay any in 2014-15 in filing a civil case. His father was VP those 2 years. Would it open Pandora's box? The gun charges are silly. They are being used to defocus the country from the huge crimes of foreign corrupt practices. Maybe Dictator Joe should implement gun control starting with his own useless kid. This stripper impregnator is going to be breaking big rocks into little rocks all day long. Then he's going to have to do his roommate's laundry. Then he's going to have to prepare meals for his roommates. Then he's going to have to give some of his roommates foot massages. Then he's going to have tea. OMG, impeach Hunter already! Exclamation mark. Tongue out. Next news. Kevin McCarthy's original lesson. What drove the House Speaker's historic downfall? NBC News. When Kevin McCarthy worked with Democrats on a debt ceiling deal, it was the beginning of the end of his speakership in the House for his party hardliners. Below are your comments. I never cared for McCarthy, especially after he waffled on Trump's involvement in January 6. But be careful what you wish for. The new speaker could be a nightmare and drive this country right into the ground. All McCarthy had to do was honor his word with President Biden and he would still be speaker today. The United States is a divided country today. It is not liberal nor conservative but somewhere in the middle. The Democrats hold the White House, they have a razor-thin majority in the Senate, while the Republicans hold a razor-thin majority in the House. Trying to introduce extreme conservative CR. Thank goodness the debt ceiling was pushed out 2 years. That may be the one deal McCarthy made that I fully appreciate. Next news. Vivek Ramaswamy says House chaos isn't such a bad thing. HuffPost. The 2024 GOP presidential candidate said the country has more important issues to worry about than who will replace Rep. Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker. Below are your comments. This is the first time a speaker has been thrown out by a House vote. But the Swami claims this to be a little chaos. It actually shows how disconnected this guy is with the rest of the country. This is a systemic problem with the Republicans today. Two of the presidential frontrunners are billion. This is why you don't have anarchists and people who hate the government as part of the government. Chaos is not a good thing when the governing body needs to actually serve the people and the country. Ladies and gentlemen, yet another piece of evidence that the GOP is not serious about governing. Who, besides Trump, appears to thrive on chaos? Next news. Kevin McCarthy says he won't run again for House Speaker. NBC News. Earlier on Tuesday, the California Republican was defiant and said he would fight efforts to strip him of the Speaker's gavel. Those efforts were ultimately successful. Below are your comments. Go home, Kevin. Have a real stiff drink and never look a gift horse in the mouth. Your life has been extended, believe it or not. McCarthy cut out Ukraine funds and brought an impeachment inquiry against Biden. Democrats were not going to save him. It's called karma. GOP the go on puking party. What a dumpster fire. This country is a joke. Now he knows how John Boehner felt. Leading the House Republicans is like trying to herd 218 kittens. This is why you never negotiate with Democrats. They'll stab you in the back the first chance they get. Next news. Haley surpasses DeSantis in New Hampshire poll. Politico. The poll is the latest measure of Haley's bounce, and DeSantis' backslide, in the GOP primary. Below are your comments. Haley is smart and a determined force. She is like Tom Brady and Doug Flutie. Both were underrated and proved their worth. We need someone with good sense and diplomacy. She is a winner. Let us back a winner. MAGA. Trump has made too many enemies to win. It is time you do the sidestep and back a circa. Desitin being defeated by Nikki. Bye. Bye creepy Ron. Go back to creepy Florida. Go Nikki. Ron is done. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.